here's our $64,000 question. Anybody remember the community chest? I remember the community chest. Karen Barsell, who is our guest today, she remembers the community chest, which is now the United Way, because she is the CEO and she is the president of United Way. And Karen, you really do remember the community chest, right? You've done research on it.
I have done research. We were initially in 1942 the Reno Community and War Chest. And as the years went on, we became the United Fund, and then the United Way of Washoe County, and eventually the United Way of Northern Nevada and the Sierra.
Mm-hmm. Karen, when you were discussing before we went on the air, and I think it's an interesting point to discuss, when did America become interested in saying, hey, we need to help our citizens with organizations like the Red Cross and like community chest? I mean, does community chest go way back to the end of the 1800s?
It does. The entire movement for social work and social change came out of the Charitable Organization Society movement, and out of that same movement in the late 1800s birthed what we now know as United Way.
And United Way, actually, they changed the name from Community Chest to United Way in the 60s?
The real change nationwide happened in the 1970s, and there were a number of names. You might remember the Red Feather Society.
Sure, yeah.
That was one name.
They would give the little red feathers out that you could wear on your lapel.
And actually, there were big red feathers that people would stick in their hat bands after they made a donation.
I remember that.
Community chest was another term that was used. There were various terms throughout the country, and so we brought them all together because there's over 1,200 United Ways in the country.
I guess a natural question to ask during this interview, because of the lack of funding that is going on nationwide, worldwide, certainly city and county, how have you been impacted, and have you been able to keep up with the tremendous amount of requests that you get every year?
Well, United Way locally, like everybody locally, was affected, as everyone has been affected with the recession. And we started seeing indicators of the recession in 2007. Our board took measures to financially stabilize our organization. And today we are financially stable, and I'm happy to say that last year we actually had an increase and some growth, and we're predicting this year some additional expansion and growth.
Funding comes from the general public, businesses, organizations?
The majority of the funding that United Way receives comes from individuals.
And what do you have a goal every year, the monies that you try to reach?
Mm-hmm. We have a goal this year of $2 million. $2
million. You know, when I think back to those old days 50 years ago of the community chest, I'm thinking that in terms of less than $100,000 is what they were trying to raise. Maybe 125 would have been a big number in 1950 or 1961, 1950.
It would have been. I got a chance. As a matter of fact, I have it on my bookshelf. I have the original books from 1942, and that first year the goal was $50,000, and so we've grown obviously since then.
Yeah. How, is your drive coming up? Is it on now? What's the status of it?
Well, because of the different organizations and individuals we go to that bring resources to the communities that we serve, people want to be able to give year-round, and we actually do fundraising year-round. But I think you're probably the most familiar with United Way coming in the fall,
right, in
conjunction with the National Football League.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's a great program too. How does an organization? Do you always have more requests than you can actually fulfill? And how does an organization come to you and say, hey, could you give us $10,000 this year?
I think in philanthropy, fundraising, and the nonprofit sector as a whole, particularly right now, there's always going to be more requests for funding that aren't going to be fulfilled. Mm-hmm. Organizations now with United Way come to us with larger impact projects. We fund in amounts of $50,000 plus, and most of the impact projects that are done with collaborative groups that band together to tackle one of our focus areas of education, income, and health.
Some of the organizations that have benefited from, say, your larger donations, $50,000 or more.
Just in the last year, we've had some partnerships that have been helping out with education particularly. We've been involved in a financial education for high school success program that's been very well received nationally. As a matter of fact, the program partners include AT&T Foundation, United Way Worldwide, Harvard Research, Family Research, the Education Alliance here in Washoe County School District, United Way, and we've been doing some really cutting-edge work. And Harvard will be doing a report on this work this coming September, and releasing that nationally.
I'm surprised the University of Nevada hasn't been knocking on your door with the budget crunch that we're having currently here in the Silver State.
We work closely with the university on a number of projects, so we work collegially, and they're important partners with the United Way.
What is your relationship with the National United Way organization? Do sometimes they come to you and say, hey, this year nationally we are going to support ABC organizations? Does that happen?
We do have some national corporate leadership relationships, and I think probably how it's changed over the years or come back to its roots is that United Way is United Way Worldwide, and we have global partnerships. So global partnerships could mean a Red Cross effort, for an example. A global partnership might be the groups that bring resources to the table, and that might be a GE or a Bank of America nationally, or a Wells Fargo, or any number of corporations that have global presence like UPS or FedEx. So we work with a number of for-profit, government, and nonprofit groups to make changes in the issues that we agree are the most important, and those are in education, income, and health.
Tell us about the makeup of your board. I know you try to get a very diverse bunch of people together to be on that board.
Very bright, diverse group of people, and they represent our entire 13-county Northern Nevada region as well as around Lake Tahoe. They are diverse geographically, diverse by industry, and diverse in every way that you would classify diversity. And very, very intelligent and very committed. We have a small board of 19, and every board member is incredibly active in making, helping us focus our energies and our resources to change people's lives.
So you are serving areas like Churchill County and White Pine County and Elko County, northern Nevada, pretty much. And I assume there's a Southern Nevada United Way separate entity, right?
They have the other 4 counties in Nevada.
Do you get a lot of requests from the smaller? I would imagine you would, because the fact they don't have the resources that are coming into their counties with, a smaller population base.
And we have to be thoughtful about making sure that all of our rural and frontier areas are as well represented as they possibly can be, not only with raising resources, but also with delivering resources to those areas.
Let's say that you are a service club, and I'm kind of thinking selfishly now of my service club, the Reno Kiwanis Club, and we wanted to try to get some funds out of, not saying we're ever going to do this, out of United Way. What is the procedure we have to go through? What do we have to do?
The groups that work with us now have gone through a Standards of Excellence and accreditation process. We have over 70 partner agencies, and so by meeting that threshold that was designed by nonprofits themselves of minimally how impactful and efficient and effective a nonprofit is, then those are the nonprofits that band together to create these impactful projects that we can move forward on.
So you're really better off to hook up with somebody else as opposed to one organization just coming. If there are 5 organizations and you've band together and said we're going to make milk for every child in Washoe County this year, and that's our project, can you help us? That works better, right?
I think you would agree that banding together and bringing all the resources together to focus on an area is going to really and truly be able to make a difference in that area and change somebody's life, improve their lives. And this is no longer the day where each and every little group can have their little projects and be insulated from everybody else. It's very important for all of us to band together and take those efforts together to reach the goals.
I can tell just from the conversation that you are very involved and this is your life. How did you get interested in United Way and becoming, did you start out as a CEO president, or had you just worked in the organization here? Tell us about your background.
I was fortunate enough when I was getting my master's degree at the University of Nevada, Reno, to be assigned as an intern at United Way in 1990. And through my good fortune, and I'm pleased to tell you, they hired me, and I've worked through a number of positions, and I became the CEO a little over 4 years ago.
What kind of a staff do you maintain?
We have 6 staff. We have to cover that 13 county northern Nevada area, as well as some zip codes on this side of the Pacific Crest Trail in California. So obviously 6 staff can't do all that. And so we have to maintain a volunteer corps that go out with us to really figure out how to make a difference. And
a lot of driving.
There's a lot of driving.
Do you have individual people in some of these smaller counties that represent your organization, United Way?
Very much so.
Contacts.
Yes. People that have been in their communities as long as I've been in the area for the last 35 years, have been there, and they hand it off to their children, their responsibility for their area. And we'll sit down on their porch and have lemonade with them and figure out the best way to be relevant and tackle the problems in their region.
As you are well aware, for the last couple of years, a lot of organizations like yours have been saying that the dollars are just not there, and it's tough to keep these things going. You said that you're solvent, very solvent, and do you see a rise now in public service agencies being able to get more money? I mean, things are improving economy-wise here in Reno?
It's a mixed bag. I think as the session that we're currently in unfolds and some of the decisions are finalized, we will probably see a difference in the landscape in the nonprofit sector. And I don't have that crystal ball to tell you what it'll look like. So I think some nonprofits are doing better than others.
Karen, thank you very much for being our guest. Good job. Congratulations to United Way. They have a good, strong leader at the helm. Get one of those little feathers one of these days, and I'll put it, if I ever wear a hat, I'll put it in my hat or something.
I'll make sure to bring you one.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you so much.
And our thanks to you. We'll see you again next time.